People of the internet, it is I, Don Thomas, back in here with another episode of Downtime. As always, folks, the likes, the comments, and subscribes are all greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for the support on this channel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. We're talking about DINKs, folks. An acronym I recently came across stands for Dual Income, No Kids. This topic seems to be, of course, making its way through the internet streets. I've seen it, of course, a little bit on TikTok. Came across a video that I want to share with you guys as well too here on YouTube. Looks like it's from CNBC. And they go in a little bit greater detail into this new lifestyle trend, the pros, the cons. I want to get your thoughts on it as well too. Let's go ahead and dive in and watch a little bit of this segment here coming from CNBC. It says here, why Americans are going child free.
We got married fairly young, and we both just decided for many reasons we didn't want kids. And then at some point we heard the acronym DINK, and I think just really fell in love with it.
There are more Americans that are deciding not to have children, and it's purposeful.
This new trend has led to the rise of a new type of household, more commonly referred to as DINKs, dual income, no kids.
Oh yeah, dual income, no kids, that's perfect for us. That's absolutely right.
Children are the death of net worth. Pretty crude, but honestly very true.
This household configuration of dual income partners living alone without children is on the rise. In 2022, it was around 43% of households, and that's about a 7% increase from a decade previously.
In 2022, 43% of Americans surveyed said they'd want to get married, but just a little more than a quarter said they were sure about wanting children.
The term DINK is becoming more prominent now because of financial challenges, and they see children as just another financial challenge that maybe they don't want to take on.
So what's it like to live with a dual income and no children? And will it be the future of American households?
I thought this topic was interesting, an interesting one. More so in particular because I am somebody who, and I think I even spoke on this in a previous video before, in terms of speaking from the approach of antinatalism and how that is the belief that it is, morally or ethically wrong to consciously bring children into a world that is showing signs of decaying. And I did kind of admit that I do understand that side of that argument as someone right now who is growing up there in age, of course, soon to be 35 years old, not married, no children, don't have kids, no significant other, no spouse, whatever the case is. And then just my overall thoughts on just like society as a whole right now, man. I feel like how the world is kind of operating right now, I do understand why some might champion the concept or the idea of being a DINK, of course, which is, dual income, no kids, whatever the case is. So I did also see a trend on TikTok as well too. If I could pull up some of those videos, I will, but been seeing those videos. We're DINKs. We did it, whatever the case is. If I can pull up a video, I'll share it. But what are your thoughts, folks? I'd love to hear it. Here's my take. To be completely honest, as I always say, man, do what makes sense for you. Yeah, we'll come across these trends on social media, just because things are, I feel like, and that's why people can sometimes call things like propaganda. It's like, I feel like people should be able to stand firm on their views of life. It's not affecting you, has nothing to do with your household, whatever the case is. Yeah, you can argue and say, oh, well, if this is going to be a concept that's going to be widely, widely taken on by our, future generations or the generations behind us, whatever the case is, then what does that mean for like society and, the foundation of family and structure, things of that nature, which I do understand. I'm not saying that everybody should adopt the mindset of having no children. I think children could be a beautiful thing, man, if it makes sense for you. If it makes sense for your, household and your endeavors. I always feel like, especially in the times of the day and age that we're in right now, I feel like, people might start doing things for the wrong reasons. You always got to ask the why of anything that you do. Starting a family definitely being one of those things. So if you find yourself wanting to start a family because of social pressures from family members or society, then I think you should revisit your why in that situation. Some people, of course, oh, people was argue and say they find fulfillment for having kids, man. Oh, my kids were the greatest thing that ever happened to me, this, that, and the other. That's another thing as well, too. I'm not saying that's wrong at all. I feel like there's a lot of things. I think we all have roles to play in our lives. Parenthood, I always feel, I think just parenting, being a father or a mother, of course, is a job within itself. And I always give kudos to the, families, the men and women that are, stepping up in those roles as a father, as a mother, whatever the case is, because it is no easy task. On the contrary, though, of course, and what this video is even speaking to, that, some might argue that all things included, cost of living, societal trends and how the world seems to be shaping out, whatever the case is it easier to, have a household where, both parties are making a moderately good salary? They can focus more on, things that they would deem beneficial, whatever the case is, as opposed to putting those expenses towards childcare and school tuition and this, that, and the other, whatever the case is. To be completely honest, folks, I think it's ultimately going to come down to preference. I can't say that one is right over the other. I do feel like people do have the right to, live a life that makes sense to them. Me personally, if you want to take it a step further in the layer of personal or give my personal take as well too, I'll take it a step further, I should say. Both make sense to me. I mean, where I'm at in my life right now, single income, what is it? Does that make me a sink? Single income, no kids. I think that was an acronym I saw as well too. Right now, I am living the life of a sink. Single income, no kids, and it works for me, man. It's working for me. Like, and it's always weird having these conversations because, of course, I have peers who have kids, family members, who are married, this and the other, and I'm the one that's like, of course, my mom would probably watch this and say like, oh no, because of course she wants grandkids for me and this, that, and the other, whatever the case is. But as of current status, my current, societal status or dating status or whatever you would call it, I am a single income, no kids, and it's working, man. Like, I pay my bills. Of course, I have big boy bills, as I like to say. Like, I have bills, of course, my responsibilities, but it kind of stops there. I don't know what it is to pay childcare. I don't know what it is to, health care for children, this, that, and the other, daycare, this, that, and the other, whatever the cases. I don't necessarily have those expenses. And I think there's a superficial kind of like lens on this as well too. People are saying, well, because I don't have kids, I could, be more gluttonous in my spending habits or whatever the cases and do things. And I'm not even necessarily saying that's right either. From a material standpoint, people just saying, well, I have more money to spend on myself, this, that, and the other. But I kind of look at it as the opposite. I'm not necessarily, yeah, of course I have more money to spend on myself, but I would feel like it's in terms of not on, just material possessions, but investing. Right. And I could invest more after bills are taken care of. I can, take a little bit more risks financially, in terms of things, investments or ideas, whatever the case is, because I don't have to feed another mouth, whatever the case is. Groceries are for me in my household, just myself, I should say. So it's like there are, financial, people are looking at this as like, financial means of increasing. I think even deeper more in this video, they're even wondering, hey, what does this society look like if we continue on this level? The current circumstances right now in terms of, cost of living, whatever the case is it financially sound to be a dink? And I think these are all valid questions, man. But again, I always recommend people to do what makes sense for you. Don't go off a social media trend, and don't shun other people who maybe don't subscribe to the ideologies or the lifestyle that you live to, whatever the case is. It's okay, bro. We all have our one life to live, and we should live it to the means that is best suited for us, essentially. So clearly, it's a topic that is interesting to a lot of people, myself included. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. So let me know, folks, what happens if a society deems themselves no longer interested in procreating? What happens to the family structure? What does that mean for civilization if this is an upward trend and we're seeing that people are just not interested in having kids anymore? What does that look like in the long term? What are the long-term effects of being a dink and subscribing to this philosophy of life? The likes, the comments, and subscribes are all greatly appreciated, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you on the next one.